If a Bombardier locks onto you, get ready to be bombed back to free kits. That's why almost every guide gives you the same answer: sneak up and use a deadline. But after killing over 75 of them, I found several other great methods that I have not seen shown anywhere else. And the first one is probably the biggest Bombardier discovery I made while testing this guide. Bombardier is basically mobile artillery with 2 spotters that help him track raiders. Back in 2025 he was much easier to kill because his shells came in at a high angle, so if you had a roof over your head, he would usually hit the roof instead of you. But now he can also fire on a much flatter trajectory, more like a tank, which means he can hit you inside buildings much more often. If you are very far away and deep enough inside a building, you can still damage him safely, but he usually moves away quite quickly. The most common and most recommended way to kill Bombardier is to place a deadline on him. But not every raider has a deadline blueprint, and not everyone runs around with one in case they happen to meet a Bombardier. So instead of giving you the same one method guide everyone else does, I want to show you the other methods I found that also work great and might become the new meta. The biggest discovery is this: when you stay within 10 meters of the Bombardier, he cannot hit you with his normal shot. Instead, he switches to the charge up AoE attack with roughly 20 meters of range. That attack can stun and knock you back, and the closer you are, the more damage it does. But just like with leapers, if you are behind cover, the AoE does no damage. That means Bombardier has a hidden weakness most players never use: close range cover abuse. Once you are close, all you need is small cover. A car, a tree, a half-wall, a rock, anything. You do not even need to be fully hidden. When he starts the 3-second charge up to the AoE, break line of sight behind cover, let it go off, then step back out and keep shooting. Bombardier will try to move away from you, so follow him from cover to cover and keep him within 10 meters. You can even control where he moves. On Buried City, for example, around a half wall in Old Town, if he tries to move away, run to the end of the wall and force him to reposition back towards the middle. You can keep repeating that until he dies. And if there isn't enough natural cover, make your own. Place barricades in front of him and shoot from behind them. When he moves, place another one. Barricades are cheap, you can steer him with them, and in the right area you can even make a prison out of them and trap the Bombardier forever. In a totally open field this is still harder, but near walls, ruins or other terrain it works surprisingly well. Now let's talk hitboxes. Bombardier has 2670 HP and no armor, so armor penetration does not matter here. Raw DPS matters. There are also a few places you do not want to shoot. His gun only takes 40% damage. A lot of videos and websites say that the knees are a weak spot, but they actually only take 75% damage, so unless you specifically want to break his legs, they are not worth aiming at. His best weak spot is the yellow power cell on the back, which takes 150% damage. The area next to it takes 120% damage. And if you break off the side plates or destroy the power cell, his white core gets exposed, which also takes 150% damage. Most of the time you will be fighting him from the front, so in that case just aim at any of the normal 100% damage areas unless you have a good angle on the back. Because none of his parts are armored, weapon choice is mostly about DPS and ease of use, not penetration. Bombardier and his spotters also have very poor vision if you do not sprint. So if you want to place a barricade or a deadline, just jog up to him, ideally from behind or from the side. You can also use a lure grenade to distract him. I'm not a big fan of the photoelectric cloak here, because if you approach from the front, the moment you turn it off, Bombardier can still hit you before you can place the deadline. And if you approach from behind, you usually do not need the cloak at all. If stealth is the problem, I would rather use a showstopper. If you're placing a deadline, stick it to the base, back or side panels. Do not put it on the legs, because that will not one-shot him. If you are using a Hullcracker, aim for the back or the top of the base. And in general, the deeper you can land explosive damage inside the base plate, the more damage you will do. That applies not just to Hullcracker shots, but also to explosive grenades. In many cases, landing the damage deep inside the base is even better than just hitting the back power cell. Blaze grenades, on the other hand, should land on top of the Bombardier, so the fire spreads over him. Trailblazer needs to be thrown from close range underneath him. That said, if you care about cost, weapon ammo is usually still the cheapest option overall, and in my opinion the Hullcracker gives you one of the best combination of low cost and fast time to kill. Now, what if you cannot or do not want to get close? Then the next best method is what I call peek left, peek right. I also found this myself during testing. Also, some players may already do parts of it instinctively without thinking of it as a method. You can shoot from one angle, wait for the Bombardier to start targeting that position, then break line of sight and move to another angle before the shell lands. You shoot a few shots from the new angle, then move back again. Left, right, until he dies. This is not as flashy as the close range method, but once you understand the rhythm, it is one of the most reliable ways to kill the Bombardier without a deadline. This works with different windows, doorways, rooftops, rock formations, or any setup where you can shoot from one side, disappear from his vision, and reappear somewhere else before the shells hit. If you are not using a Hullcracker, try to stay within your weapon's full damage range because most guns have a drop-off. Extended barrel helps here. Also, if you are doing this outside and not from deep inside a building, it is often worth killing his spotters first. This method becomes much harder when the spotters keep feeding Bombardier your exact position. The spotters have HE HPs, so 2 anvil shots or a seeker grenade will kill them, and if you're accurate, you can hit the upper part of the spotters for 150% damage. And if you want the coolest method, use a zipline. The zipline needs to start and end outside of the Bombardier's vision. Like the default zipline in Old Town on Buried City. You can shoot him while riding the zipline, and because you're moving, he struggles to hit you. Then you land out of sight, reload, right back and repeat. So the real point of this guide is not that the deadline is bad, it is that the Bombardier has several other reliable kill methods, and some of them are things most players have probably never even considered. If you want to farm Bombardier, the best maps are Buried City and Blue Gate. On both maps he has a 100% spawn chance. On Buried City he spawns in Old Town, Marano Park or on top of the parking garage. On Blue Gate he spawns at Raiders Refuge, the gate control room or between the ruined homestead and ancient fort. He drops 5 to 9 Bombardier cells, and if you kill him with a deadline you can make around 32k profit per Bombardier. If you remember one thing from this guide, make it this. Most players only know the deadline kill, but Bombardier has several other reliable methods, and the close range cover abuse, the barricade prison and zipline method are things I found myself while testing and that I have not seen shown anywhere else.